Yeah, once is technically the best shield.
I'm gonna swindle your bar.
Boom, 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 boom.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
Oh my god! Yo guys, what is up? Max in our Borderlands 4 video, and today we're going over a very, very dumb Rafa build that is doing infinite damage. Just to give you a quick little example of what this looks like, if we use our action skill with this mechanic, and then we go and hit this little dummy here, and then that just goes. Just like infinite amounts of damage, like quadrillions and billions, and just, you know, enough to do. I feel like that's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about this build. So there's a few things at play here, but the number one component of it has to do with Altered Cabron and the skill Per My Last. Now, I didn't know about this interaction. I was brought up to it by my YouTube chat, who told me to try this out. It's absolutely insane. I'm definitely not the first person to post about this. I believe the original poster is Nepta. I'll have a link down to their channel as well. And this interaction allows Rafa to deal infinite amounts of damage. So Altered Cabron reads that whenever we gain health, and this works even if we're at full health, which we'll explain our setup in a second. But as long as we are gaining health, we get stacking bonus corrosive damage. Now, this bonus corrosive damage is being considered action skill damage when we're in our arc knives. And we, with our setup, can get Per My Last to over 100% chance to deal double damage. Well, when we're dealing double damage, if you remember the original like Gamebreaker Rafa build, Per My Last was breaking groundbreaker and infinitely storing groundbreaker to build it up to do hundreds of trillions of damage. And it's working the same way with our Altered Cabron, where we are getting a bonus damage on top of our bonus damage, which is guaranteed to proc again, and it procs, all the bonus damage is guaranteed to proc on top of itself, which procs itself, which procs itself, which procs itself. And so you'll do one hit on an enemy, and you'll watch its health bar all of a sudden slow, and then like infinitely fast because it just constantly procs, and because it's bonus damage, it builds off of the last instance of damage. So all of a sudden, you just deal billions of damage. So that's why if we go up to this training dummy, so we use our support drone. The support drone here is giving us healing. So as I'm standing still, I'm getting stacks of Altered Cabron. You can see it's at 5, 6, 7. I'm going to hit this guy, and you can see the numbers go small into large, into very, 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 very large, because it's just infinite looping on top of itself. One of the funnier interactions with this, by the way, is Altered Cabron can proc or deals bonus corrosive damage on any of your damage. So you don't actually need to trigger all of this damage with a melee attack. You can, for example, if you're dealing with a boss that it's got a difficult hitbox, or the melee hitbox is just not working for you, you can use something like a rep kit with either Nova or Splat, and then you can proc the damage on a dummy, for example, like this. And there's a rep kit now dealing, you know, quintillions of damage. The last piece of the puzzle of this build is that we're going to be using the Dancer class mod. Now, the Dancer class mod is the same class mod that we used in the original Gamebreaker Rafa build, because even though it doesn't state it, Per My Last is a overdrive skill And because it's an overdrive skill, this gets more value or a higher chance to double hit enemies on a dancer than a +5 per my last buster class mod, because we can get the double bonuses from Soltado procking plus the 100% overdrive bonuses, which both apply. So after we get a kill, right now this is like I've gotten a kill, I've got all my bonuses up. This is not me like sitting fresh in town, but my per my last has a over 100% chance to deal double damage, which is necessary for this build to function. You need the chance to deal double damage over 100%, which is what it's going to infinitely loop itself. All right, now let's go over the skill tree and the rest of the build. So starting in green tree, we're going to put points into Midnight Oil for the extra bonus corrosive damage. And then we're going to grab Altered Cabron. This is what the whole build is focused on. So we absolutely need this. And then we put 5 points into Dial In, which is going to give us a bunch of crit chance, which is really important because that's going to give us Solder. Solder is going to allow us to get health restore on our hits of our... or get health back whenever we're critting, which is going to allow us to lead to extra bonus stacks of Altered Cabron. If we're using a support drone for mobbing, it'll eventually go away, and a lot of the times that is before your action skill ends, and so getting an additional way of healing is nice to keep up your Cabron damage. Then in red tree, we're putting some points into City Art to give us some extra gun damage, which we're going to be increasing our melee damage off of, but we're really here for Huerga. This is all the points we could unfortunately get in here. Huerga is going to allow us whenever we're critting to restore our action skill. If we don't have any points in Huerga, our action skill ends pretty quickly, so getting some points into here is nice for some extra duration. And once again, we're going to be critting all the time with our melee attacks. And then in our blue tree, unfortunately, we just have to like basically waste a ton of points getting down to the right side. I really do hope that they like rework or change some of these skills here because they're all pretty bad in this like early tree of blue, but we got points in some ammo regen, pod dentro for some health regen whenever we activate our action skill. Then I just grabbed Ariba for some extra ordnance cooldown rate. Once again, these points really don't matter. What we do care about is getting Jacques, which is going to give us more overdrive bonuses. Overdrive bonus percentage increase the chance of per my last getting to 150%. So you need these points. Mate gives us extra cooldown rate. So when our action skill does end, because it will end, we get a ton of cooldown, which is going to allow us to go right back into our arc blades. And then once again, per my last, we need 5 points here. The build doesn't function without this because we need a 100% chance to deal that bonus double damage. For our gear, for weapons, it really doesn't matter what you're using. The one thing you do want to find is a weapon with a support drone alt fire. Mine is on a Murmur. You could get this on any like purple gun. I believe it needs to be Tedior, if I'm not mistaken. I think Tedior, and I think I've seen it on order weapons as well. This support drone is going to give us healing, and this healing is what's going to stack our Altered Cabron in boss fights, so we don't have to like figure out a way to heal. It's going to give us 10 stacks. For our rep kit, for mobbing, I like just using a kill spring with speed on it. This is going to give us, whenever we kill something, extra healing, which will stack up Altered Cabron. You could use like hard or like the melee damage on this. I don't think it's needed. You're dealing infinite amounts of damage, so I just go for some speed so that you can move around faster. For bossing, having Nova or Splat on your rep kit can be pretty nice, or both for an additional way to one-tap bosses. Your grenade doesn't matter. I just had on a Swarm because it had Real Big Fist on it, which we'll talk about when we get to our firmware. For your class mod, you need the Dancer. Your Dancer needs to have +1 Saltado. It doesn't really matter anything else, just +1 Saltado. Mine's got like reload speed on it. I still need to go get a better Dancer. And then for our shield, we're using a Watts for Dinner with Siphon. Siphon's really, I mean, infinite damage is infinite damage, but the Siphon Watts for Dinner allows us all those little dot ticks will guarantee that we're getting overshield, and whenever we have overshield, we get another bonus shock damage. So it's like even infinite damage. And then for my rep kit, for my enhancement, just had a random COV on, just wanted to get Action Fist. Your only thing you really need on your enhancement that could be nice is extra gun damage. But yeah, enhancement does not matter. For your firmware, I'm rocking 2 action fists for the extra melee damage and the extra action skill damage, and 2 real big fists for a bunch of extra melee damage, and then 1 God Killer. God Killer is a 10% multiplier to bosses, which is also really nice. Once again, not really needed. You could do this build with 0 firmware on. You'll still one-shot everything. For the specialization points, doesn't really matter. I was using bare arms with groundbreaker, now with caffeine for the better action skill uptime, and then I just had the best defense on for the extra 30% all damage dealt. However, I'd probably swap this best defense into a honed mind for the chance for our action skill to crit and deal extra damage. Not that it needs to deal any extra damage, but yeah, that's probably what I would be rocking is these 4. I didn't have enough iridium to respec though, and once again, it didn't really matter. Guys, that is going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Pretty ridiculous shenanigans. I didn't really know to call this like a build video or just like an interaction video. But yeah, if you want to one-shot all of the bosses in the game with a rep kit, now you can do so. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Peace.